up, YouTube? Neighbors up the road brought us a little project today. Let's see what that is. It's a little Polaris Predator 50. A little bit dirty, a little bit crusty. Just needs a little bit of love and a carb clean. So who wants to learn how to clean a carb? First, we got to clean it up. It's a 2-stroke, so a little engine degreaser is going to be nice. Get all that gunk off of there that we don't, that we don't want to have to dig into. All right, we're going to let that soak for just a little bit. A lot of my neighbors know that I like to work on bikes. I like to pedal with bikes. It's just kind of been something that I do. I've always done since, I don't know, since I could pick up a wrench. And after a lot of trial and error and losing a lot of my grandfather's tools and some schooling, it's what I like to do. I don't really want to lean over a car. I mean, if it's my own car, it's fine. But I kind of got a passion for working on motorcycles and 4-wheelers and stuff like that.
And maybe 3-wheelers.
Clean. All right, so I got the bike in here and I'm stripping it down because I'm not gonna give you the whole how to get the carburetor out, how to clean everything or whatever. And when I get a bike like this, I like to just make sure it's gonna fire, because you know you got your 4 things. You got your air, fire, fuel, and exhaust. So let's make sure it's gonna fire. So what do? I open the carb up, I shoot a little bit of carb and choke spray in it, and then I kick it. Well, of course I turn it on, but anyways, I kick it a time or two, and it fired up and it took off across the room, knocking bikes over, and we had a casualty. Simple Green got smushed. I wish I would have got that on camera. I bet you do too. All right, guys, in my shop, I'm really only set up to work on like 1 or 2 bikes because I got so many other bikes in the way. But we're gonna do this all shade tree mechanic on the ground. I don't think it's gonna be that bad. We got the carb out. If you can't get a carb out, then you're not at this portion of the job anyway. So, hey, see you here. So, it still got some fuel in it. Yuck! It smells like varnish. It's obviously bad. So I'm expecting there to be a little bit of gunk in here. Luckily, I didn't find any water when I drained the fuel tank. So, you know, maybe it won't be that bad. Okay, with the carb out, you're gonna want to flip it upside down. This is your carburetor bowl. This is your knife for holding your napkin down. Make sure you're sitting Indian style when you do this. Anyways, so you're gonna pull these 4 screws out of the bottom of your bowl. Most have 4, some have 5. Make sure if one of them's longer or shorter than the other one, you know, it goes back in that same hole when you're done. A little tap. That should break free. This really isn't all that bad. I have seen a lot worse. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a little bit of carbon choke spray. We're gonna soak it in here and we're gonna clean this out so that we know there's no gunk, nothing that could get pulled up from this into the jets. We'll pull the jets out and we're gonna clean them out and make sure that they're good. And just kind of generally clean it out and make sure it's good to go. And this one should be a pretty easy one. All right, you're gonna have to have a tiny little screwdriver to get your pilot jet out. Hopefully, this one's coming out pretty easy. There's your pilot jet. Main jet. There's a tube in there too. All right, for this bowl, if it's real bad, you can let it soak. I think this is gonna clean up pretty easy. Just gonna put a little carbon choke cleaner in there. Take a Q-tip. That's dirty now. And just scrub around inside of there and get all that discoloration, that yellow, that dirt, just whatever out of the inside of it. Because that will clog it'll clog a jet real easy and make it run like crap. And then you got to do it all over again. Now with the upper part of the carb, you're going to want to spray through these holes. And you want to be able to see that stuff comes out the other side. If you go to spraying this through here and it just comes back in your face and it doesn't come out of some port somewhere else, then there's a really good chance that, well, there's absolutely something dirty in there. This carb is far cleaner than I had ever expected. And with your jets out, you're going to want to try and shoot a little bit of carb cleaner through them. Now you can see it coming out. Another thing you want to check for is going to be these little holes on your pilot jet. You want to be able to see through them. I don't know if you can see through that. I don't know if you can see through that or not, but I can, so I know it's good. These little holes are important that they're clean. If they're not, then if they're clogged up, then you need to take a little guitar string or something and just poke at them until you get them clean, then spray it out. Make sure it's good to go. Otherwise, it won't pull fuel like it's supposed to. By the way the fuel smelled in this machine, I really thought that I had a pretty serious carb cleaning coming. This is going to make a pretty good video, but this is a pretty simple one. We're going to drop the pilot jet back in its hole. Main jet's good. We're going to put it back in its hole. Just snug those down. These are made out of brass, so you don't want to over tighten them. If you over tighten them, especially the pilot jet being down inside of there, it's a whole lot of fun to have to dig one back out. With the jet snug and secure and the bowl clean, we're just going to put this guy right back together. This right here is your carb slide. You want to make sure it's nice and clean. This one's clean and it slides well. You also want to check this tip. There's a little something on that tip right there. That right there would have clogged that main jet up and caused it not to pull fuel like it's supposed to. Now, if you do have something on here, you don't want to go trying to sand it off or reshape it or anything like that, because this is a really, really minute, fine-tuned, perfection. If you sand a little bit off of this, it's going to change it to what the carburetor does drastically. So if you can't clean it up, if it's pitted or damaged, you're going to want to go ahead and replace that carb needle. All right, a little trick. Whenever you go and you turn your fuel back on for the first time, the carburetor bowl, sometimes the float will stick just a little bit. So every time I do one, I tap on it just a little bit as it's filling up with fuel for the first time. Kind of resets it. Because a lot of times people will they'll go to do a carb job or something and they put it back on and then it starts overflowing. And that's the whole reason right there.
Guys, let's see if this gnarly beast will start.
Well, guys, that was pretty simple, pretty quick and easy. I was expecting it to be something, really nasty, dirty hands, and it wasn't. It was a pretty simple, easy carb job. Everything worked out. I'm glad y'all watched it. I hope it helped somebody out. Other than it dragging me across the shop and knocking things down and it was actually, it was just really cut and dry. It was kind of fun. So now you can do it. Remember to pound that like button, subscribe. It's free, it's easy, and that way you guys aren't gonna miss any videos. You know what I'm saying? You don't wanna miss them. It's terrible, heartbreaking, you know what I mean? Thanks for watching and God bless. See you later. What's up, YouTube? It is ridiculously windy out here, and so